Hello Booktube! Welcome to Lizzie Faye Loves Books. I'm Elizabeth and this video is going to be my June TBR. Now if you saw my last video, you may have already noticed that I read 33 books in the month of May and I was pretty excited about it, but a lot of them were small books. About 20 out of the 33 were less than 200 pages and about 4 of them were less than 100 pages. Now a couple of the books I read were over 500 pages in May, but I tend to postpone books that are big because sometimes I get caught up in the numbers and how many I want to read and all that kind of stuff. So I decided that I am going to name my June TBR GiantBook June, and it's not a readathon, it's not a challenge I'm issuing to anybody else, although you're more than welcome to join me, but all of the books that I read and listen to in June will be 400 pages or more. I'm not officially doing the Big Book Challenge, although I added it up and I have read 15 books already this year that are over 400 pages. But I have so many more that I want to read. So what I decided to do was take a look at all the books I already own that are 400 pages or more, and then I had a handful of books that I wanted to get from the library, so I've kind of pulled them all together and I'm going to read as many as I can. I'm going to break in here for just a minute because after filming this video for a second time over a week ago, I found out about the Tome Topple Readathon. But meanwhile, I wanted to get my May wrap-ups done and the days have ticked by and I'm late getting this June TBR posted. And I've also added and changed a few things due to Tome Topple, so I'll be breaking in a couple more times with additions or corrections, and this is just going to be faster than trying to take the time to get myself camera ready. And sorry, I don't have a way to keep the camera still. I'll just show you a few of the additions and corrections that I've made to this month's TBR. Also, I've added some captions to some of the previously filmed portions of this video that also reflect some of the changes. And so if you're like me and you tend to just listen to YouTube videos while you're doing other things, just know that there are a few more captions in this video than normal. So if you are interested in what my changes are, you might want to actually watch this video instead of just listening to it. The screenshot I'm showing you right now is what I'm reading for Tome Topple. Most of these books I am going to talk about in the rest of the video, but I'll come back at the end and tell you what meets each challenge. So let me go back now to what I previously filmed, and I will break, like I said, I will break in a couple more times, and then at the end we'll talk more about Tome Topple. So I'm going to show you first the ones that I'm definitely planning to read, and then I'll show you the rest of the books that I own that are 400 or more pages, and you can tell me if you think, if there's any one in particular that you think I should read, or any that you would recommend I not read, or anything like that that you want to tell me about any of the rest of the books. So let's get started. The one book that I didn't necessarily want to read, but I plan to read because of book club, happens to be about 450 pages, but I have it on audio, and that is Boys in the Boat by Daniel James Brown. This is a true story of the rowing team from the United States that went to the 1936 Berlin Olympics. And I am already a little ways into this. I just started this on the 1st, and I'm trying to do at least one disc a day until I finish it. Book club is the 3rd Thursday of the month, so I should definitely have it done by then. And other than that, I'm not going to do a lot of audiobooks on purpose this month because I'm so behind on watching YouTube videos. I'm about 2 months behind, and I have about 1,000 or more videos that I would like to watch. So as long as I get this done and watch as many videos as possible, then that will be the extent of my audio visual for the month of June. In case I get caught up, and if it comes from the library, I've got Shift ordered. Shift is by Hugh Howey, and it is the second book in the Silo trilogy, and it's the sequel to Wool, which I read a month or two ago and I loved. It's a sci-fi book set in a post-apocalyptic world, and so I'm looking forward to that as soon as I can get it from the library. I'm second in line for it right now, so it could be a little while before I can get it. If that doesn't come in and I get caught up with YouTube videos and I get done with Boys in the Boat, I do own a copy of Pathfinder by Orson Scott Card. My husband has already listened to this and he enjoyed it. He went ahead and got the next 2 books from the library and has finished the whole trilogy, but I have not started this one yet. So this in print is over 400 pages, and so this would qualify as a big book if I want to listen to this in my kitchen later on in the month when I finish the other stuff. So another possible audiobook that we will listen to this month is City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare. This is the fourth book in the Mortal Instruments series. My husband and I just listened to Clockwork Angel last month, so I understand that the preferred reading order is to do Mortal Instruments and Infernal Devices in publication order. So this will be the next one that we listen to. Now, in my car, there's a couple of libraries in our county that still have audiobooks on cassette in circulation. So I just kind of started searching through the list, and I found one that looks really interesting. So I went ahead and ordered it, and I just got it today. It's called White Doves at Morning by James Lee Burke. This is historical fiction set during the Civil War, and I don't know much more about it than that, but it did look really interesting, and I think it's something my husband would enjoy as well. Then I went ahead and ordered this. I've actually already listened to this. This is the first half of Gone with the Wind on audio cassette. The library that owns this does not have the second part. It was probably lost or damaged at some point, and they never got the second part. I got the second part of this on cassette from a library book sale a few years ago, and it was completely damaged. It was ruined. The tapes wouldn't play. I couldn't understand them, and I had to pitch it. So to this day, I have never finished the second half of Gone with the Wind. And I remember most of it, but I went ahead and ordered this because I thought, if nothing else, I will listen to a few of the tapes towards the end just to kind of help me remember where this left off, so that then I can go ahead and get the CD version. At the time I listened to this first half, none of the libraries in our county had it on CD, so it wasn't available to me on audio, and I didn't really feel up to reading it in print. In fact, I think my sister kept my mom's copy, and I don't have a copy, and I just didn't want to bother with it at the time. So I figured the library would reorder it at some point, and so now they have it. Maybe I'll get to that this month, maybe I won't, I don't know. I don't anticipate being in the car nearly as much during the summer because I don't have to carry kids to and from school. Alright, so now for print books. The first thing I am reading in June in print is Assassin's Apprentice, and I've started this. This is by Robin Hobb, and I wanted to participate a little bit in the Hob-Along. The Hob-Along Readathon started during the last week of May, and the middle grade May Reads Readathon was still going on, so I didn't want to start this until the 1st of June. So I haven't had a lot of time to just sit down and read, and I'm not very far into it, and I'm enjoying it a lot. This is checked out from the library. I do own book 3 of this trilogy, and I cannot find book 2, and my library does not have book 2, so I'll either have to order it online or see if I can get it through interlibrary loan if I want to continue on with the Hob-Along. But for now, I'll be happy if I at least get the first one read. Then also from the library, this just in, I got Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I loved A Court of Thorns and Roses. I just sped right through it, and so even though this is huge, I think that it will suck me right back into that world, and I will enjoy reading it. Then another library book I have is Echo by Pam Munoz Ryan. This is one of the Sunshine State Young Reader Award finalists for 2016-2017. And I read all of the books for last school year, and I decided that when the list came out in late April that I would try to go ahead and get some of these read during the summer. And I did not realize that this one was going to be so huge. So it fits right in with this month's theme of big books. It is 578 pages, and it's a middle grade book. And I have no idea what it's about, but I like to read the books on the Sunshine State list, and this is something my daughter will probably read. Now, at our school, if you read the Sunshine State books, you get to participate in the book bowl towards the end of the year. But I have a feeling that a lot of the kids are going to shy away from reading this. So I figure if I've read it and I can attest to how good it is and whether it's a quick read and a little bit about what it's about, then I will be able to recommend it to the students and help them to not feel as intimidated by the size of it. So that's all I have checked out from the library. And now I want to show you some of my own books. The first couple are the ones that I'm really leaning towards reading this month, and then the rest of them are just big books I found on my shelf. And if you spot one that you think I should definitely move up on my TBR, then let me know. The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton is one I definitely would like to get to. This was recommended highly by my sister. It is 545 pages. Now, my goal is to read at least 6 print books and 2 audiobooks. If I get more than that read, that's great. But I will feel like I have had success if I finish 6 print and 2 audio for a total of 8 big books for the month of June. That's, that's an average of 2 a week, and I think I can do that. So here's what else I have. My daughter Katie recommended Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. I have not yet read any Morgan Matson books, and she's read this a couple of times, and this is her book, so I thought I would like to put this on my TBR for the month. And I've been saying all year I was going to read Jane Eyre, and I haven't done it yet. So I really think I need to leave this towards the top of my TBR. And this was our book club book in February, and I never got it read. I hear great things about it, and I really think I need to read it. I have the first 2 Aragon books. I think this is the Inheritance Cycle. I think that's the name of the series. I have Aragon and Eldest by Christopher Paolini. I would be happy to just get Aragon read. It has right at 500 pages, and I have really been in the mood for a little more fantasy, so I hope I can get this read this month as well. Another fantasy I have is Spindle's Inn by Robin McKinley. This book is highly recommended from Gwen of the Gwendolyn Reading Method, and she has read several Robin McKinley books and says they are awesome. It's a fairy tale retelling of Sleeping Beauty. And of course, I would love to be able to get to this as soon as I can. I have 2 books from the Kane Chronicles. The first one, The Red Pyramid, I listened to on audio, but I would like to reread it in print. And then I picked up the second book, The Throne of Fire, at the Scholastic Warehouse sale just recently. These are by Rick Riordan. I have read almost all of Rick Riordan's other books, and I have not read all of the Kane Chronicles except for this first one. So I am looking forward to getting to these. One more fantasy I have is Kingdom Keepers number 3, which is Disney in Shadow by Ridley Pearson. I have listened to the first 2 on audio. I remember the first one quite a bit, and I'm a little shaky on what happened in the second one. I've got the second book. It's not 500 pages, but I may just kind of skim back through and read the last couple chapters just to remind myself of what happened, because it's been a few years since I read those. And then book 3 is definitely over 500 pages. When I filmed this video the second time, I had stuck my Mitford books back on the shelf, but At Home in Mitford is over 400 pages, and I've been saying forever that I would love to reread the series. So I think because I've already listened to this multiple times on audio that I will be able to fly through this in print, but I really just want to see it. I love this series so much, and it will be just like comfort food to go back and savor this and read through it in print. So I would love to get that done this month. I didn't mention that At Home in Mitford is written by Jan Karon, as is this Mitford book, which I have not read. This is the Mitford Bedside Companion. It is almost 500 pages, and it contains excerpts from the Mitford books, and I believe a few other things as well. I don't know. I've never actually sat down and read this, but I would love to, and so I have added this to my stack of big books. Whether I read it this month or not, I don't know. All right, I'll quickly go through the rest of these, and you can let me know if there's any of these that you think I should definitely read. I've been reading the first Wizard of Oz books, and so I could possibly read Wicked by Gregory Maguire. I've been interested in reading this one as well as the Dorothy Must Die series, so I picked this up not too long ago, and it would be fun to read this. This looks like a contemporary. It's by Emily Richards, called Sister's Choice. It says it's a Shenandoah album novel, so I haven't looked this up on Goodreads. I picked it up at a book sale quite a while back because I really thought the cover was pretty, and I don't know if this series needs to be read in order, but it is a big book, so I stuck it in my pile. I also have Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I may possibly buddy read this with Akoss. We've talked about it, and she wasn't sure if she wanted to read it or not this month, and it would be later in the month, so if she lets me know that she's ready to read this, then I will bump this up my TBR. This one I know nothing about. Around the Bend by Shirley Jump, and The Vintage Teacup Club by Vanessa Green. Here's another Kate Morton book called The Distant Hours. This I think would count. It's 2 books in one. It's a bind-up of the first 2 Lucky Harbor series, but it's bound into one book, and this edition is shown on Goodreads as one book, so I think it would count. It's about 600 pages. It includes Simply Irresistible and The Sweetest Thing. It's a Christmas theme, so this is pretty low on my TBR, but like I said, I was just pulling out everything that had at least 400 pages. And I found this, Maria by Eugenia Price. This is set in St. Augustine, Florida, and I believe it is also set in the oldest house in St. Augustine, Florida, which if you go to St. Augustine and take the tour, you can visit the oldest house, and I've heard them say that this Eugenia Price book called Maria was set in that house. And I've always been interested to read it, and so I think my mother finally got around to reading it, and I never did, but I have it in case I want to get to it. A couple of others I doubt I'll get to. This is Julie by Catherine Marshall, written by the same author who wrote Christie. I read Christie last year for TBR Takedown, and I really enjoyed it, so this I think would be great. And then The Silmarillion. I have never gotten through this. If I really get in a fantasy mood and I want to keep reading fantasy, then I might pick this up, because I am interested to read it. I've read Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit multiple times, and I've never actually read this, so I would like to get to it. I also have J.R.R. Tolkien's Unfinished Tales, which is about 500 pages as well. I picked this up at a book sale a while back, and I have not read it either. So if if I get in a Tolkien mood, I will pick up one of these. And I have two more. The House at Riverton by Kate Morton, and this is actually a bind-up of 3 books, but I just got this recently at a library book sale. The Brides of the West collection. It includes 3 books. One is called Faith, one is called June, and the third one is called Hope, and they're by Lord Copeland. I've only read one trilogy by Lord Copeland, and it was the contemporary Morning Shade mystery series, which was adorable. And these are historical fiction, so I don't know, this is pretty low on my TBR, but it's something I just picked up, so I saw it laying out. I thought I would stick it in my big book pile. So those are the big books that I own that I have not read. So let me know which of those books you have read and which ones you think I should definitely try to get to this month. Okay, now back to Tome Topple. Tome Topple is a readathon that goes from June 5th to June 19th, and it is hosted by Sam from Thoughts on Tomes. And it is a readathon which challenges you to read books that are 500 pages or more. Well, of course, since my June TBR is only big books, then of course that fits perfectly with what I'm already doing. So I picked out a few of the books that I most wanted to read that were over 500 pages. And I bumped them up to this 2-week period. So this is what I'm reading for Tome Topple. Now the challenges are to read more than one book, take a graphic novel break, read part of a series, read over 500 pages in 1 week, and read an adult novel. So I started with The Forgotten Garden. Now, The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton counts as my adult book. It's going a little slower for me than some of the books that I'm used to reading, because I do read so many middle grade books, and but I'm really enjoying this. My sister is the one who turned me onto this book, and I am really loving it. So that is what I'm reading first. I may go ahead though and take my graphic novel break before I finish this, because like I said, it is going a little slow, and I would kind of like to speed things up a little bit. Now, since I am only reading big books this month, I did not allow myself to get a short graphic novel, and since I read Blankets last month, that is really the only really chunker of a graphic novel that I know about that I am interested in. I did look on Goodreads, and I found a couple of other really large graphic novels, but they weren't available at my library. So then I got to thinking about the Brian Selznick books, and they are a novel in words and pictures. So I figured that would really kind of count as a graphic novel, and they're all huge. So I decided to get Hugo Cabret by Brian Selznick. Because if you've ever seen any Brian Selznick books, you know that they are about half pictures and half text. Of course, as I'm flipping through, I can't get any of the pictures. They are about half pictures and half text. So I am going to count this as my graphic novel break, and it's also a big giant book, which is over 500 pages. Then this will count as my series book, Court of Mist and Fury. I'm hoping this one will go a little faster for me than The Forgotten Garden, simply because I'm familiar with this world, and I know that when I was reading A Court of Thorns and Roses, I really got sucked in and just sped right through it. So even though this is a huge book, I think I will be able to read this a lot quicker. And then, whether I get to this or not during Tome Topple, I'm definitely reading this month. This is Echo by Pam Munoz Ryan. Now, one of the challenges is to read 500 pages in 1 week, and I know I have not done that this past week. Hopefully when I start A Court of Mist and Fury, it will go a little faster, and I will be able to read 500 pages during that week. Plus, I will be home a little bit more this coming week, because now school is out, and our school just got out yesterday. I've just been busy with a lot of things this past week and haven't had a lot of sit-down reading time. Then looking ahead to the rest of the summer, there is going to be another middle grade readathon hosted by Akoss for the first week of July, and that will be summer-themed middle grade books. And then also during the whole month of July, they're going to have the Summer of the Sisterhood read-along, and I have collected all of those books, and I am dying to read them. So I am definitely going to participate in both of those readathons. I will read some middle grade books for the first week, and I've already got some picked out, and then within the second week of July, I'll have to catch up and read books 1 and 2 of the Sisterhood books. But I'm really looking forward to that. So that's what I'm going to be reading this summer. Giant Book June, and then middle grade summer reads, and then the Sisterhood read-along. So I guess that's all for this video. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.